So catch up here. Let's see. It's quite a bit to talk about. It's been about 3 weeks or so since my last recording, maybe more. I've been to the Bahamas for 2 weeks. So that's 2 weeks there. Probably about 4 weeks since I recorded. Um, what is there? There's a lot. What sort of report on? Let's see here. Well, first thing I just was thinking of is there's a squealer. I have a squealer next door, and what that means is um, they make a lot of racket, having noise, and she especially. I thought there was a baby crying next door. It turns out it was this girl getting it from her man or something. And there's two problems with that. Well, three. Three is that it makes some noise, which it it makes it's like a damn earthquake going on too, man. They're pretty rough or something. It's pretty funny. But I just got to turn on I got a little noisemaker in my room. But it's funny when you hear that. It's like we got. So that's one problem. Second problem is that the main problem with that is that I'm not the one making her squeal. That's the problem. And three is that I thought I put a damper on all sexual activity. So that's evidently my powers aren't working or something. So for the first time I have confirmation that sexual activity is occurring on this planet, and I can't do anything about it, I guess. Trip to the Bahamas went fairly smooth. Getting down there, I basically went down there. I stopped in Atlanta to see my sister Ramona. I had scheduled. I made a mistake in my scheduling of the next day. So I went to Ramona's on the 19th, and the 20th made the connecting flight from Atlanta to Nassau. I accidentally made arrangements for the flight in Nassau to Long Island for the 19th instead of the 20th, so I was nervous because I was really nervous. It's really a bad moment because I'm like, what if there's no seats available, right? So I was really nervous about that. And then I thought I was going to pay the whole new fee, but there's just a change fee. Well, it's not just, it's $30, but it beats the $100 for a new ticket. But I was just really concerned. I was thinking, oh God, what do I do if I can't if everything's booked today? Anyway, so that went, aside from that, it went pretty smooth. When I stopped in Atlanta with Ramona, there was, I don't know, man, it's just, this thing with Steph is just, I don't know, me and Ramona just got, there was a party at the neighborhood party, and we went to that, and that was all great and everything, and then, for some reason, me and Ramona just started arguing about things. Steph was an issue, and Ramona's got some issues that I can't help but, it's just really volatile being with Ramona. It's just a tough situation with her. You know, I wouldn't mind being her brother, but it's just too volatile. She's just got some ways that are just, in some ways, she's just too chaotic for me. So I try to settle her down. I try to give her advice on how to not be so chaotic, and it just ends up turn into a war. Oh boy, so that really made the trip down there really bad. Anyways, we get down to the Bahamas and everything's chilling out, and then, I'm kind of like being flirtatious with Maria. You never know if something can work out again, and she's not receptive of it, and she's gained some weight. She looks like she's pregnant. It's just, I didn't expect that. I've never seen her like that before, and yeah. So, but I could, since I would say I can get by that. I can, I've lived with Donna, so I can get by not worrying about the looks. Oh, Donna's gonna kill me about that one. But yeah, she just wasn't receptive of my come-ons. I think I did manage to get sort of a half hug out of her. But I gave up after a week, about 5 days or a week. There was this lady with the karaoke. There was this lady that was really interested in me, and I even sang "Any Way You Want It" by Journey, and she's like, well, I go up to the audience and I pick people, and she was just enthralled, man. She wanted me so bad, and then it wasn't the right timing because I was trying to work it out with Maria. So, you know how those timing is everything. And I didn't see her again. I went back to karaoke a week later, and she wasn't there. So, you know how that works. Just a woman's ovulating. It's just you gotta use it. Get this opportunity. It's complete opportunity when it's there. So, yeah, she's a pretty good-looking Asian lady. So, opportunity passed there, and it was just a day or two later I realized that, well, first of all, Maria's trying to set me up with her friend, and then realized that wasn't going to work, so she's kind of like playing hard to get or something with trying to get herself involved with me, and then she's just being completely repulsive in her mannerisms. So I was just completely turned off and not even trying anymore, and then of course I couldn't find the Asian lady anymore at the karaoke, so but it was pretty relaxing there. I fixed a few computers, made a little money. Everybody's really grateful for fixing the computers. And the thought occurred that maybe I should go back down there and make it a full-time gig. And then we found out that, we called that I would need some kind of a license. Being a foreigner, you got to get some kind of a job pass or job license to work abroad like that. So that kind of put a damper on that idea. Played a number of games of Chems with Dylan and Nicole and some friends of theirs, and that's fun. And I got pretty good at that game. I was able to win 14 games in a row, which is kind of unheard of. Anyways, so fixed the like I say, I fixed the computers, fixed Nicole's computer, and it's what else? So when I'm down there, I realized that I got an email for a job interview. So when I got back, it wasn't long, 2 days later. I got back 2 days later. I went to a job interview. That went pretty good. But I think they found out about me during the references because they're not talking to me anymore. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe something will pan out. But while I'm while I'm in the cities, went to the Legion. I hadn't been there since I left. Well, at night. I hadn't been on karaoke night since I left. And so I'm there on Friday night and used to see a lot of friends, and that one Kim lady with that Facebook backfiring. She wasn't there, but all the other girls are hating my guts because of what I did, and all the guys there like me. So I don't. So evidently it's gone around what I did there, and it was interesting, the hatred that I'm trying to get laid, and it's the hatred involved with trying to get laid. So I realize it's, any other guy would try to get laid and it'd be fine, but when I do it, it's no longer allowed. And, I just realized that that's how it works. So, but in the meantime, Donna shows up and she's being friendly, and this is a little shocking to me because she hasn't like responded to my phone calls since I left, pretty much, and so I'm not used to her being friendly. If she's really friendly, she's cheering up and crying and stuff because she misses me, and offers me to stay overnight at her place. And I was reluctant. I said, well, maybe not, I don't think anything's going to happen, and so anyways, on the departing of the Legion in Savage, we exited different doors to rendezvous at her house, and on the way over, I'm thinking, I probably could get something going. I probably could get it on. It's hard. Part of her problem is she gets too emotional. I have a magic penis or something, and she just becomes really emotional at that point. So it's really, yeah, we might get laid, but I'm not sure it's worth the trouble of the emotional tie. Anyways, nothing happened because of the following. When we exited Legion, there was, well, I go to her house, and nobody's there. She's not there. I waited 5 minutes, nothing. If I go back to Legion, I see her car there. Her car's there. So I'm looking around at Legion and Nison's to see if she's still around. She's not there, so I go back to her house, and I find that Susan had taken her home. And I found out that when I knocked on the door and saw she had a Band-Aid on right here, Donna, and she's all got a bloody nose. It turns out she slipped on the ice or something and fell fat face forward, split her head open, big knob up here, and split her nose right here, and bloody nose, and just a mess. And if there was any romance that could have been possibly occurred, it just wasn't going to happen, because I was just, she's just so drunk, she didn't even know what happened. She's like, I think Susan pushed me over. She didn't even know what happened. She kept drinking, and I kept telling her to stop drinking. She just kept going, and I just feel sorry for the lady, I feel sorry for her, that she had that this is her way her life goes. I don't know, man. So, anyway, she's still trying to get romantic, and she's like, kiss me or something, and I'm like, but look at you, we need to put a bag over your head, It's just, I mean, she's bigger than usual. She's bigger than the last time I saw her. That was pretty big before. Now she's even bigger and wider, and she's drinking more, and the house is more of a mess than ever, and she's got more exercise bikes there than ever before, and I don't think she's using them, and I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough seeing. I see her decline, man. It's just. But it was nice seeing her cat. I saw Bailey, her cat, and that was a good. I mean, it was good to see Donna, but I mean, it was good to. I just been kind of curious that the cat. I hadn't seen him in a while, and yeah, that was kind of a nice. I'm glad that Donna showed up. It's weird because she never shows up on Friday nights, so it's a complete coincidence that I happened to be there and she happened to show up, and but I've tried calling Donna twice since this, and she hasn't returned my phone call. So I don't know what's up with that. I don't understand. Oh, I don't understand. So, but I went back to Carrie. I left Donna's that morning before she got up because I wanted to get back to my computer, and and then then this lady from Plenty of Fish had emailed me, and I was just like, well, I'm in the city, so maybe I should meet her. So we ended up chatting a little bit. She knows already about my God complex, and we talked for probably an hour and a half, but the next day she writes me, and actually she says, well, it's probably not going to work out, and then she blocked me. So I don't have high regards toward women at this point. It's just so. Anyways, so after I left her, go to the Legion, and first I went to Turtles and met this lady, Sandra or something, and she was asking for money and stuff, and I think she's a prostitute. Anyways, I drove her around for a little bit, but bought her a couple drinks, but it was anyways, I got away. She kind of like stole $20 from me, and I was just like, well, that's to buy it. She said, give me $20 and I'll buy you a drink, and then she didn't buy me. Then she didn't buy me a drink, and then it's kind of like was being a butthead, so I just left and went back to Legion where Carrie's running karaoke, and met this lady from Mystic Lake who's a rich millionaire, I guess, and she's offering to buy rounds of drinks. And one time she broke 100 with the drinks she bought, and she gave me the change, so that was like $75. I gave like 20 to Carrie just for kind of like this. Anyways, so I hung out with her. She went to the Mystic Lake. I kind of like rode along as just a lot of stuff was going on here. But she's hitting on this she's got a boyfriend there who's kind of the chauffeur of her ride. She's hitting on this other guy, kissing him, and she called him Grandpa. He's got a beard on, and it was just kind of weird because it's got to be a little uncomfortable for the boyfriend to see that. But I just kind of was riding the coattails to see what she's doing, and she ended up playing this game of Keno at the Mystic Lake, and after about an hour I got bored, and I said, take me back, and after hitting on this guy all night, she takes both of us back, and it's just kind of a weird night, very, very strange time in the cities. So that's a lot of stuff going on there. While I was in the cities, I took a couple of certification tests, and I did not pass either one of them. I get a free second shot at them, and I'm not sure how. I'm not sure. I gotta take them. It's the first two tests I made it through, and this last one it's just not happening. I mean, this last two. Anyways, I gotta take it. I gotta pass these, and hopefully get employed. And so.
We don't have that many. Dale was gone so many of the times I was visiting Steph. I was taking pictures, but I do have a lot. I found them last night. They were on my backup CDs. I'm finding my pictures. And getting them uploaded is a long job. I got a beautiful picture, Chris, that I'll be uploading of you and Steph dancing at Ray's 50th wedding anniversary.
So Dale got rid of all the pictures on Steph's on his Facebook because Steph died. So he's just trying not to let it hurt him, or is it? I mean, that could look both ways.
I am not going to analyze why he. I don't know.
I mean, that could be, that he it'll hurt him. It hurts it makes him remember. At the same time, it looks bad because it looks like he doesn't give a crap about her.
One can take it either way, but I'm just saying, don't judge us for our lack of pictures, because we were putting up as many. See, when these pictures that you see of Dale and Steph together out in California, Dale is usually taking pictures. That's the other reason, okay? He's the photographer, right? So we're not always going to see him in a lot of these pictures. The other reason is Dale was not always there, but I do have pictures somewhere where I should have some with him and Steph and the kids when I was with them in Florida, but I haven't found those yet, Chris. But I don't have a lot of pictures of Dale because Dale simply, that's when I was out in Colorado, was helping Steph because Dale was in Florida for a month or Hawaii a month,
Yep.
So that's all. Nobody has that many pictures of him. It's not intentional.
Well, I mean, I
that's
understand.
That's why we have a Dale and a Steph label and a Bruner. And then Ellie, Jack, and Lily, there's probably pictures of Dale in there somewhere. I'm not sure why there aren't any of Dale at Camp Snoopy. He might not have gone to Camp Snoopy. He was here, but why isn't he in pictures at Camp Snoopy? When we had that Christmas get-together, remember when we had lobster? We made lobster at Mona's, remember that?
If I may, I understand what you're saying, that Dale's got a camera in his hand. He's not going to be photographing himself. At the same time, it is a funny story that with a camera in his hand, he can't take these things have got self-timers on them where you can snap a picture of yourself.
He does, and he did. If you look at the one of us on the boat, Dale's in there because he's got the timer on his camera.
That's what I'm saying. Let me finish. I'm just my point is, he should have more pictures of Steph and Dale because he has a camera in his hand. I understand that he may be snapping the picture most of the time, but with a camera in your hand, you're going to be taking a few pictures of yourself at the same time.
This is where we're going to get pictures of Dale and Steph is off of Steph's Facebook. She has some in there, I believe, of the two together. And that's where we're going to get them and copy them. But we've been busy, Chris. I mean, God, I've been uploading pictures. Carrie's been uploading and scanning pictures. There's a whole bunch that she hasn't got up yet. We've been so busy. So it has nothing to do with intent or excuses other than time. It's called time. And we'll have thousands of pictures up here before we're done, I would think. That's my guess.
Well, yeah, the beginning one should at least have I mean, I was looking for 5 minutes on this. Then they had 30, 40 pictures, and there was none of them Dale, so we got to fix that.
You can upload one wherever you think you want it to go. You're allowed to upload. Everybody is.
Yeah, but somebody's in control of the slideshow. I mean, the initial presentation should at least show a few pictures of Dale. I mean, yeah, we're all, I guess.
Well, I don't like the goddamn slideshow. You know who's in charge of that? The website. And I don't like the fact that every time you get on, it always starts with the first page. I would like it to be able to have a random, I would like me to be able to pick. I mean, because you never get past the first few pictures if you go on the slideshow. Get what I mean?
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of pictures under Steph that even you could upload, you know, if you want them up there sooner, that have there's there.
Huh? Yeah.
Well, I was just looking at Steph's pictures here. I think those are all up, to be honest, and that's where we got them. Now, if, you know, I'm sure there would have been more with Dale if Dale would have maybe left them up on his website. You know, and I can't even be sure he ever had pictures of Steph up there, you know. Well, he did. I can remember he had a picture of Steph once on his site, so. But yeah, okay, I guess that answered your question, though.
Okay.
That he really wasn't at a lot of our family get-togethers because he was out working.
Yeah.
You know, he was shooting the ranch when Steph came to Minnesota almost all the time. And the pictures that go back, say, 8 or 10 years were all standard pictures. We have to scan those, okay? And that takes more time.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dan Schmidt.
Hey, Mark, Chris Roller. I'm Stephanie's brother.
Yes, Chris.
Hi. I'm just curious how they conduct investigations. For instance, well, yeah, I'm not sure it's supposed to be said, but the latest information was Steph was in a nightgown, and I'm just curious why that couldn't have been said up front. Maybe you can help me understand how they conduct an investigation and why they would hide that information, because it seems like almost torturous to people like my family to find that out now instead of like we could have known that, you know, since day one, right?
And how would that have helped you?
Well, we were speculating. I mean, before the first press announcement, there was we were wondering, she probably just, you know, was off for a walk and hit her head. And then we got the first press announcement, which was, it was blunt trauma to the head, which would indicate that, you know, it was murder. Well, I question why, and maybe you can help me understand why that information can't be relayed right away. I question whether it's entertainment purposes. I do. I swear it's almost like a method of jerking us around to get us to react. And then,
Chris, if you're enjoying all this, I am really sorry. This is serious, and we look at it serious, and we're not taking any. There's rhyme and reason for everything that we've done on this entire case, and I choose to release information when I do based on interviews with specific suspects. That's how that works. I'm not doing this for grins, because that's not the way it works. And I'm really sorry if that's the way it appears to you. I just want you to know that this is a serious matter, and I'm not looking at it half-heartedly, and I'm certainly not releasing information to people just to watch their reactions. There's rhyme and reason on how this all works, and that's what, you know, this investigation is serious.
Okay, it's serious to me too. That's why I question why we couldn't have been told that she was in a nightgown. If you could explain that to me, I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm not.
You can't explain that, okay? Is that right? You cannot explain that?
Right.
Okay. It's just,
I'm not releasing any evidence, any information that we'll be utilizing in our case.
okay.
And I'm sorry that that's the way it is, but you know, it's more important to me to get a conviction, to take care of, you know, the person that did this, than try to satisfy people that are, you know, their curiosity. And And unfortunately, all this information is going to come out, and you're going to have all the answers that you want, but it's going to happen at my time frame. Because that's how important this investigation is, and I'm not going to jeopardize that for anybody.
Okay, like, for instance, Carrie, when this initially happened, I'm talking with Carrie and my sister Carrie, and she's like, the deal is, Chris, if you saw, at the time, I'm pretty much figured Dale did it, and she was defending Dale and saying to me how, Chris, if you saw Dale, you wouldn't be talking like that. And I'm like, and she's scolding me. And so now what happened now that this nightgown thing, it means that Carrie was fooled. And in other words, what I'm saying is that it makes everybody look like a fool. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's certainly not the intention.
I know, it's just that it's
Chris, the information that I have, the information that we gathered from the investigation needs to stay tight-lipped, just because, it's the information that we have. It's pertinent to this case. It's going to help us get a conviction on this case, and I'm not sending that information out to anybody. Okay, and I've given the family as much information as I can as we go through this whole process. I'm trying to, I'm sending you guys out press releases before they hit the newspapers and the TV and radio stations. I've been open and upfront from the very beginning that I'll release as much information as I can, not to jeopardize the case.
Yeah, I understand. I was just hoping I could just find out how investigations work, and such that. But you can't explain that. You can't explain how investigations work. Is that right?
Well, the investigation starts wide with. We've had all sorts of suspects, including the guy down by the river that that could have been hiding behind the bushes, other friends, family members, other acquaintances. There were a whole lot of people that we were looking at as suspects. As we continue with our investigation, we start narrowing that down. And the only way you can narrow that down is by, talking to people and eliminating them from your suspect list.
Can I ask, if we were initially told that she was off for a walk with a jacket and a laptop and everything, and then now we find out that she's in a nightgown, can we assume that what we're hearing is not maybe truthful? For instance, maybe she wasn't even hit on the head. Is that truthful? How do we know what's truthful?
That did occur.
Okay, I'm just saying, if we're hearing something that comes from the, and then it changes, how can we take the word of anything we hear anymore?
Yeah, how did you know that she left in her red jacket and so on and so forth? How did you know that information?
I guess that came from my mother or something.
Okay, well, it came from Dale in the first part of this investigation.
Okay.
That's how he reported that information to us. So we take that information, and then we have to find out is it true or not. And how do you do that? You do that through a good, thorough investigation.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Okay. So everything that I'm told, I have to find out: is it the truth? Can I prove that statement is correct, or is it a lie? And can I prove that it's a lie? That's all part of the investigation. It's very confusing. It's very difficult to go through each one of these steps. But if we're going to get a conviction on this thing, we need to go through every one of those steps. We need to look at every piece of information that we've ever been able to gather. And it's time-consuming. It takes a lot of time, and it's very difficult. But we're not going to put that information out there for everybody to hear and see, because that's all part of our investigation.
Yeah. All right.
Does that kind of make sense, Chris?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I want you to have as much information as possible, but unfortunately, there's going to be some that you're not going to get until after this thing goes to trial.
I understand.
And I want you to know every single detail of this case, but unfortunately, it's going to be at my time frame.
All right. I thank you for your time, sir. It does help to talk to you, and I just wanted to see what's kind of going on in the mindset of the investigation people, and you've helped. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Chris, I'm very optimistic that we're going to get a conviction. That's my goal on this whole thing, to get justice for your sister. I am huge on her side, and I know the family is as well. And I know this is difficult, but I am going to do everything in my power to get the resolution to this case.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
That's my promise to you.
Thank you for your time,
Okay.
sir. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Conciliation Court.
Is Jessica Rayer there? Right here?
This is me. Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Chris Roller. I got a letter here from you. Maybe you remember me. It's a couple weeks ago. I sent it before Christmas. I got it back saying, okay. So I'm going to try to jog your memory. Who I am and what.
I remember. You have
Okay,
three
you do.
claims, right?
Yeah, three claims. That's it. Thank you. All right. So, it says here, the conciliation court doesn't have jurisdiction to hear cases under 7,500 when a defendant lives in Hennepin County. When
No, because we do have jurisdiction. We can't hear cases when you're asking for damages. You have to be monetarily out-of-pocket losses. You can't sue people here in conciliation court for, like, pain and suffering. These are just examples. I mean, you can't do, like, pain and suffering or, what's the word I'm looking for, like a slander or libel or things like that. It has to be tangible. It has
ma'am,
to be out-of-pocket expenses.
are you a lawyer?
I am not.
You're not. You seem to be making legal decisions here. I know that you'll be telling me in a second that you can't make any statements based on because you're not a lawyer, and yet you made statements on here claiming that you know what's going on, and yet.
Well, if you go to our state court website, which I believe I've been copying it for you, it does say that. What's a valid claim and what? And I don't think you don't have a good claim. You can file it, just not in conciliation court. It'd be more for civil court.
You are a civil court. Conciliation is civil.
But we're a specific part of it. We're in Hennepin County. We're not part of civil. We're our own division. Because we're so large, we do so many files here that we're not really a part of civil. We have our own office, own supervisor, own everything.
Okay.
So we're not in the civil. We're not over in civil filing across the street, where they probably handle things like what you're trying to accomplish.
You're telling me that you are not civil conciliation? You are somebody else?
No, I'm saying we're in conciliation court. We're under the civil umbrella, but we have our own set of rules. We're not under the civil rules. We have different rules in the civil area. We're our own department.
All right. Can you give me the number, or how do I find this out? I'm confused. There's a conciliation court that's different than you?
We are the conciliation court. We have our own set of rules. If you look in the rule books, we have our own set of rules.
Okay.
The Minnesota rules of court. There's civil rules and there's conciliation court rules. We're conciliation court.
Okay. I think I do have the right spot. I think that if I had gotten this letter, not from you, but from an attorney, it would give it more creed. What you've done is made legal decisions here, and you're not authorized to make legal decisions. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I think you're mistaken, because I filed the same case in two other courts, and they've taken it in.
Well, but you had three claims, and I had one check. So we can't just take one and not all three. I remember you have three. You have two against the state of Minnesota, though. Right? Wasn't that right?
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah. So I was mainly talking about the other two.
Oh, you're talking about 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
The ones against the state of Minnesota cannot be done because, ma'am,
I'm not.
okay,
I'm not saying it cannot be done. I'm just saying they're not appropriate for conciliation court.
ma'am, if it's under $7,500, okay. First of all, I'm looking at this on the acceptable claims. What I'm doing is not under these. It is a tort. It's a tort for.
We don't
it's
do
a tort.
We don't do torts.
You do torts.
Not in conciliation court.
Yes, you
we
do.
do judgments
Of course.
for out-of-pocket expenses.
Ma'am, if somebody does a crime and steals something from somebody, a computer, a tort is something that takes care of. It's a remedy. A tort is a remedy for a criminal act, and that is taking somebody to court in small claims for stealing something. You get the money back via small claims court. You're incorrect, ma'am.
Okay, but if I remember correctly, one claim was against the state of Minnesota for a piece of paper being lost or something to that effect, and then you wanted to sue for your because it delayed your case or something to that effect. Is that
You're correct. One is because...
So that one, what out-of-pocket expenses did that, what can you bring to court and tell the judge you lost because of that? What would you have to pay?
First of all, where do you get this thing that has to be out of pocket? Where do you get that from?
You have to sue for money owed to you.
I know that is owed to me. I lost the case, and I'm not filing over $7,500. I'm filing under $7,500, and this is a civil course. I purposely went less than $7,500 to get the money because I didn't want to go through the pain of a more expensive lawsuit and more time consuming. I wanted to just get a smaller amount out of the state for throwing away papers on purpose. That is a crime, and what a tort is I am remedying a criminal act, and that's all a tort is. Yes, I'm not taking anybody to court for criminal actions. I'm simply remedying the fact that they did commit the crime. And it's for two of them. One's for the losing the documents on purpose. That's a crime. I'm just remedying it. And the other one is
So you're going to come to court and you're going to prove that somebody purposely lost the document and it cost you $7,500 to recreate the document?
It costs a lot more. It costs a lot more than $7,500, ma'am. I'm just choosing to do it in small claims and take the loss.
And in that regard, if you're saying that they actually owe you more than $7,500, if you want to sue in our court, then you have to put in your claim form that you're reducing it to meet our jurisdiction, which means that you're foregoing any amount above and beyond that $7,500. You can't come back and sue them for anything over that later.
I know that, ma'am. That's why I went for the small claims. I want to get it done quick. I want to do it quickly and get it done. And I realized I could have gone more, but it's a lot more time-consuming and more expensive.
But then you put in your claim form that you are reducing it to meet our jurisdictional limit.
Well, it should be obvious. I guess I thought that was obvious.
It's not.
Okay,
it's
okay.
Not. Because then you could come back later and say, well, I'm suing now for this amount because I didn't add it in this one. So, I mean, it's not obvious.
Well, in the rules that you sent me, it does say in here that you cannot, if you win, you cannot reclaim the same claim. So I pretty much already knew it. It's in the rules, you know. I understand. I'll say that. But I'm just saying, I did know that, and thank you for bringing that to my attention. But whenever somebody puts in something for $7,500, it usually means that they have agreed to themselves to not take it to the next level. Makes sense, right?
It might make sense to you, but it doesn't mean it makes sense to everybody.
Okay.
Because not everybody reads the rules thoroughly,
Okay.
and not everybody knows what they are.
Okay, so that's fair. Okay. So what was it?
And if you want to send them back, I'll take them, but you might want to talk to the self-help center first to see about those other two where you should file those. I don't believe they're appropriate here. I mean, if you want to send them back in, I'll relook at them, but you may want to contact the self-help center to see the appropriate place to file those actions would be. Because otherwise you're wasting your money and your time.
I agree. I mean, I'm right. I don't want to do that.
And I'm not saying you don't have What I'm saying is you want to make sure you get it in the proper place so that you're not wasting your time and your money. So you might want to consult with the self-help center first, and there is a statewide self-help number.
Okay. I think I had that number. I have had little luck. I actually, in order to actually get help from that, I have to actually go. I'm 2 hours away, and I'd have to actually travel and meet with somebody so that they won't talk to me unless I'm there in person.
Okay, so you've called the statewide self-help center, not just the one here in our district?
Well, the Hennepin one.
You've called the statewide one,
Okay.
or the statewide one?
Maybe not state. I called Hennepin is what I was talking about. Can you
Okay.
give me the number for state, please?
651-259-3888.
259 3888. Okay. All right. Thank you for your time.
And just so you know, I may not be an attorney, but at the same time, I do have a responsibility to let people know what we can and cannot hear here, because otherwise if I take their money and make them wait 2 or 3 months for a court date and they lose because they don't have, it's not proper, then I would get the same phone call, but mad because they waited 2.5 months and wasted $70 when we didn't have jurisdiction to hear the case. So I do have a responsibility to let people know that they may want to consult with an attorney first to verify that they have the right jurisdiction and that they're filing in the right place.
That is a good warning. I appreciate it. I understand your concerns. I understand. One of these is against a judge for that. You maybe know Mark Barris. I actually have a civil case open, but he decided not to respond to it. So I'm trying to do it in small claims for an agreed upon lesser amount. I will state in here that I've agreed that it's a lesser amount in the future, in the next filing. But that should be handled there, I think, as well. He has a conflict of interest. It's a civil case for a conflict of interest. In a case, I need judges to properly judge my cases. Otherwise, I have the right to take them back to court.
Well, you have the right to file a demand for removal. If you do not agree with the judge's decision within the stay date time, then you file a demand for removal and it goes to a judge over in district court. That's what your right is. And that's what the rules say. But anyways.
Well, he can also remove himself. In other words, he's not removing himself, and yet he's got a conflict of interest. Well, that's a problem. I don't know who I'm getting. I don't know who I'm getting until I get to the courtroom. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if there was a conflict of interest, the judges can do they can remove themselves, or you have a one-time right to file a notice to remove as soon as you know who is hearing your calendar. You can file a notice to remove and ask that a different judicial officer hear the case. So.
Okay.
So you do have that option. But
Okay. It seems, but if it's against the state of Minnesota, you can file it in, and if the offense occurred in Hennepin County, you would be the appropriate court for that.
Well, it's usually wherever the address is where the defendant is. That's where.
Well, I shouldn't
That's
have.
where you sue.
The defendant might live in Duluth. I mean, the thing is, the offense took place in Hennepin County Court. That's why I was confused when I got your statement saying, jurisdiction. I'm like, anyways.
Well, jurisdiction is where the defendant is. Or if you're suing the state of Minnesota, where you'd be mailing it to, I guess, where you're serving it, that is where you would, that's where the jurisdiction would be.
Ma'am, I'm pretty sure it's where the offense took place, not where he lives. It's where the offense took place.
Not necessarily. People sue where the defendant is unless, the exceptions are like rental property. You can sue wherever the rental property is located. like it's a worthless check. It's where if you this past year in our county, that it doesn't. It's not where the offense took place.
Some of this conversation is I don't know, is interesting. It's amazing because you have been telling me legal information, and yet every other time I talk to somebody at the courthouse, they're like, "Well, I can't give you any information because I'm not a lawyer." So it's amazing how much information you've passed on to me, that how much you know. You know.
This is information that we tell. There is stuff that we obviously can't answer, but you should call the Statewide Self-Help Center and talk to them and see if they can help you figure that out. And I guess if you mail it back, if you're insisting that we take it, we'll take it.
I will follow your suggestion. Thank you very much, Jessica.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Oh, hi. Okay. Let me see here. The question is, I can, as possible, I could go for more than $7,500 in a case, but I've opted. This is a tort for fraud. So it's not. I'm not a criminal case. I'm just suing because they committed somewhat of a fraud, and I've opted to go less than $7,500 to just get it out of the way. Conciliation court is the manner for which to do that, right?
If you want to file for less than $7,500, depending on what it's for. So what exactly is it for? What are you tell me what the situation is.
Okay, there's there's three going on. I'll just give you one at a time here. First one.
3 separate cases?
Yeah, one is a judge had there was a previous case. Okay, I want to file 3, so I'm going to talk about one. The first one is related to a previous conciliation court case where the judge had a conflict of interest with me, and then made a negative decision. So I'm suing for the tort for the breach of judiciary duty.
Suing who?
The state of Minnesota. The judge.
Who are you wanting to sue?
In Hennepin. This occurred in Hennepin, so I'm suing.
Hello?
Yes. Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Who are you wanting to sue?
It's a judge in the state of in Hennepin County.
Okay. Have you gotten any legal advice about that?
Well, that's why I'm calling you.
Well, we're attorneys that work for the court, so we're not allowed to give legal advice. You would need to talk to a private attorney. That's not something we can do. Do you live in Hennepin County?
I don't, so it's a couple hours away.
What county do you live in?
Redwood.
Okay. I don't know of any free legal advice clinics in that area. There are some in Hennepin County if you're saying that's where you filed a case. There's some free legal advice clinics here, but I would strongly encourage you to talk to a private attorney if you're wanting to do anything like that. That isn't necessarily something that's going to be appropriate for conciliation court. So.
Okay. I don't understand. I just got done talking to yesterday with the court administrator, and she's giving me more advice than you are, and she's not even an attorney. So I don't understand who's giving advice and who's not. And she did refer me to...
Well, court employees can't give legal advice, and that includes attorneys that work for the court like I am. So I don't know what she told you, and I can't answer for that. But what I'm saying is attorneys that work for the court and all court employees can't give advice. That's not something I can do.
So
and based on what you've described, I really think you should talk to an attorney and get some advice before you go forward with these type of cases, because they're not necessarily the type of cases that are appropriate at conciliation court.
I've looked on the instructions for conciliation, and they give a few things that cannot be done, and tort for what I'm doing is not under that.
Well, but the instructions just give a snippet. I mean, if you need to look closely at the rules and the laws concerning conciliation court. And again, my best suggestion I could give you is to talk to a private attorney and get some advice. The instructions don't cover everything that is excluded in conciliation court.
Okay. Why did the court administrator refer me to you? What is the purpose of her referring me to you?
I don't know. I mean, I can't answer to why someone else did something.
No, I mean, she's telling
you doesn't necessarily mean it was the proper referral. Like I said, we can't give advice. I can give you information about conciliation court, but I can't give you advice. And this is the type of situation that you really need to talk to a private attorney about.
Okay,
because what you're talking about doing isn't a simple conciliation court matter.
Okay, well, I understand. It is just that it appears that everybody has sort of a way of handing the buck off, and
That's not what I'm doing, sir. I'm trying to give you the best suggestion I can, which is I think the best thing for you to do is to talk to a private attorney about what's going on in your case.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying you. She said you need to get some legal advice, so she said talk to you. So that's why I'm talking to you right now, so that I can get legal advice. And now you can't.
But what I've explained a couple of times is we can't give advice. So maybe she didn't understand that because we're attorneys. Maybe she thought we could give advice. But we can't.
Ma'am.
So.
Okay. But why? She works for the court system, and she's telling me to refer me to you. It's like she has no clue about the legal system or something. And
I can't answer to that. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I'm just saying.
I can certainly contact them and explain that in more detail. But I can't answer to why she did that, and it doesn't change the end result that I can't give you advice.
Well, it can change. You just give her a call and let her know. Listen, don't refer people to us because we can't do anything. I mean,
Yeah, but and I can do that, but that doesn't change the fact that she did that for you. So.
I know you can change it for the future. I'm saying fix it. Fix the system so that it's better.
Yeah, well, but I don't know that I can do that. I can certainly let them know, but I don't know that I can do that.
Okay. Anyways, I just want to it's amazing. Okay, so all right, thank you very much.
Yep, okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.